Are you familiar with Midjourney AI and other such, AI, machine learning image generators?
Yes, yeah, I not with this one in particular, but I've watched a fair bit of the. Have you ever heard of the YouTube channel Corridor Crew?
I have not, no.
Co- Okay, Corridor Crew is kind of this like effects house in LA, and they have a YouTube channel where they talk about this type of stuff, and um, but I was not familiar with this one in particular, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole this week looking at this stuff.
Oh, God, it's crazy. Because as far as I understand it, you feed, just some prompts to the AI, and based on what it knows, it, arrives at, like the, whatever you're asking for. And what people have been doing lately is coming up with strange movies that never existed. Or hey, what if Idris Elba was James Bond? What if Hellraiser was a Fritz Lang joint that got lost during World War II or something like that? And the results are often very uncanny, but at the same time, it's amazing how right on aesthetically these things can be. Like, yeah, like look at Wes Anderson's Alien, on the screen right now. That kind of tableau approach to it. The alien just looks like this like goofy guy that's hanging out for the day. Or yeah, it. I don't know it. I don't know really what to make of it for the most part, but it's very, very fascinating. And at the same time terrifying just because of how evocative the imagery is. Like concept artists must be shitting their fucking pants in the industry right now because it's like, well, I'm extinct. It's their Jurassic Park moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, these, I mean, in some places you can definitely see how it's AI generated because you'll look at a picture and be like, oh, something isn't quite right there. Like, it almost looks as if it's like an Instagrammer's like photoshopped picture to make themselves look thinner. Like there's just something off about it. But
Yeah.
but there's other ones where yeah, it's striking and yeah, I mean I would be shitting bricks right now if I was in some sort of art department for movies and I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. This has a lot of applications in both movies and video games too, big time.
Oh yeah. There's even a guy who's trying to create a comic book entirely just out of using AI prompts. And but he's like trying to make it indistinguishable from actual comic book art. And that's where it gets hard, because essentially you have to pay money at a certain point. Like every user gets so many free credits to generate some images, but after a while you got to buy your credits. And there are people sinking a bunch of money in order to create these images because it's just a fun thing for them to do. It's like go out for drinks or dinner and a movie, or do I stay at home and just play with this AI for a while? And that's generally what more and more people are doing. And they don't just in these posts, I guess, if you go to the Midjourney official page on Facebook where I found a majority of these, the people also type up these like fake like historical explanations for the images you're seeing. Like, oh yes, this is the movie that it failed at the box office, but now everyone says that it was before its time. Here is Andrei Tarkovsky's Blade Runner. And it pisses some people off because they're like, you're confusing people who don't know real history. Now they think that RoboCop was created by F.W. Murnau. And I think they just need to get over themselves because this is just all fun.
Mhm. Yeah, you kind of have to wonder if something like this actually does start getting used by movie production houses and stuff like that. There's going to be a whole like subclass of films or TV shows or whatever that pop up that are going to tout the fact that they didn't use this stuff.
Yes.
There's going to be movies, there's going to be this certificate that you can get that'll appear on your poster, like a stamp of approval that'll say not, AI generated images not used in the making of this movie. And it's going to be seen as some sort of like hipsterish, like, we did all this ourselves. And that's going to be really interesting to see, in the future.
It's going to be kind of like Christopher Nolan's unofficial "I shot this on film," stamp that all of his movies
Yeah.
get. It's we're getting there. Our buddies over at Fargonauts love playing with this kind of thing, and I was linked something that basically says that they're already getting to the point where these AIs can just generate like even like moving pictures. It's very primitive, but eventually, yeah, you'll be able to feed a prompt, give a parameter of a runtime for a scene, and it'll create something for you. Not just visually, but it'll give you text. It might even create music, and yeah, you might have an entire industry that is just AI storytelling, completely, from whole cloth, bespoke, and it's a little terrifying if you believe in human agency. But yeah, our AI overlords are coming, whether we like it or not. And what is also coming is an era where Harrison Ford will, be able to be Indiana Jones forever, much like Bruce Willis is going to be able to be in commercials forever. Eventually, maybe someday. But we have seen some new things coming out about Indiana Jones 5, and there was lots of speculation coming out of 4chan. That fed into Reddit and then permeated into the rest of the internet to such an extent that James Mangold had to get involved and, put his, perspective out there. But there's a lot of leaks about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. What have you heard, and what is your takeaway after seeing the trailer?
Yeah, so I guess if it wasn't obvious, we'll just say spoiler warning right now because yeah, this is we're gonna get it pretty in depth here, and so I guess what I've heard is that essentially they're gonna try and use this movie as like a soft jumping off point for his goddaughter character, who's played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, as to kind of continue the series. And I know there's been a lot of uproar about that. I guess we'll kind of see if that actually pans out because,
Exactly.
that's kind of the extent, though. I mean, what else have you heard as far as the actual like plot and stuff?
I have to couch this in that some of it is definitely bullshit. Because, they give you a list of like 10 things, and yeah, five of those items wind up, kind of getting softly confirmed by the trailer. But then there's like three other things that even when you first read it, you're like, that's not fucking true. Like, they said that Mads Mikkelsen's character was a younger version of Tot, the German with the round glasses from Raiders, and that's physically impossible. You know what I mean? It's like he's just another German guy. They also say that there's a lot of, I guess, I don't know. I guess we'll just not bury the lead here. There's time travel involved, and that kind of gets confirmed by the trailer, and with that time travel includes the possibility that we could have two indies on the screen at the same time, young and old. Because I guess we do know that the cold open of the movie is a flashback to young Indy, generated via performance capture for Harrison Ford. But then, as far as the turning this into a passing of the torch, it's the rumors were pretty egregious. It went further than just, hey kid, take my hat as I head out the door to bang your mom on my honeymoon, which is how Crystal Skull landed, and it involves young Indy sacrificing himself to save Phoebe Waller-Bridge, causing both Indies to, old Indy disappears, allegedly. Okay. And then, young Indy is dead, and now Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in 1933, having, saved the day, of the Dial of Destiny adventure. But then they allege that there was going to be like a sizzle reel at the end of the movie showing Phoebe Waller-Bridge in place of Harrison Ford in all of the subsequent adventures that we know he did in the prior films. Essentially erasing Indiana Jones from his own fucking universe. There's no way that can be true, right? There's no way that they would do that. That just has to be some, psycho, like alt-right fan theory, right? It has to be.
You would think, yeah. I mean, because, yeah, I don't know. You would think they would have learned by now, but I don't know, maybe not. It's just not a good. You're really going to alienate everyone with that, because who would look at that and genuinely be like, this is a great idea? Like, I don't know who, even the people who normally defend this type of shit, like the people who defend like The Last Jedi and stuff like that. I just don't see them coming out for something like that, and it would piss off everyone. And yeah, I don't think so. Maybe it's something they tested, because that's another thing about this movie. And maybe I don't know if you have any more info about this, but there are reports that it has test screened, and the test screenings went pretty bad. And I know James Mangold's been getting into it on Twitter with some people, basically saying like, "Nuh-uh," essentially.
Yeah, and while I want to take him at his word in good faith, I also took J.J. Abrams' word in good faith when he told me 3 or 4 times that things weren't going to happen in his films that absolutely did. Like Khan wasn't in Star Trek Into Darkness. His name's John Harrison. He's a whole cloth original villain we've created. How dare you say that we would be so creatively bankrupt to just retread something? Oh, I'm not just making A New Hope. Snoke is definitely not gonna be the Emperor. Are you kidding me? You think we would be that lame? Like, we've all heard this song and dance before. We've all been lied to, just because it's easier to lie about something that the fans are smart enough to predict based on leaks and such, when you can't go back and fix it. But if the reaction to this alleged Black Death version of Indiana Jones, was, not good, do you think they would just cut that whole back end of the movie off and just reshoot it? Because this movie's been in the can for like 2 years. It was supposed to come out in like 2020.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know. My guess is that they probably, I mean, there's no way that they didn't look at that and say, this might be very, very controversial. So let's film something else now. And that way we can, I think they probably did. They had enough foresight to film something else at the time, and they have it kind of in their back pocket. And so
you kind of have to.
That's my guess. Yeah.
In this day and age, when studios can get things so wrong so often, I think it is incumbent on them to maybe have a few options in their back pocket, a few other cards in their hand, versus just laying it all down on strong women, Yas, Queen. That market's not going to come out and save you. Just because you do it, no one's going to give you brownie points for it anymore. In fact, most of the time people are going to resent that kind of shit. Especially, like, whatever, like, even if it's like 2% of what they allege the ending being, if it's even a hint of that, that's already going to be terrible. And irredeemably, ill thought. But, yeah.
I mean, I guess to kind of put a positive spin on it, we did see that new trailer, and it was a decent trailer. I thought.
Yeah,
it was. It got you kind of, they really, really grabbed you by the feels, and they had that theme towards the end, and I did think the younger, a lot of times with the younger CGI stuff, it does look a little off, but I think we're at the point now where it does actually look pretty decent. And
yeah, if I could accept Gollum, from the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, I can accept a de-aged actor, or a de-aged performance, even if it's Fugazi like Grand Moff Tarkin. I'll take it. It doesn't bug me like I think they are worried it would. I mean, we play video games, for Christ's sake. Like we could accept a certain level of uncanny valley. The boomers are dying and they don't go to theaters anyway. Not for these movies.
No.
But that's indie. That's the indie leaks. This movie's coming out like next summer. We'll find out if any of this nonsense is true. And yeah, hopefully it's just a good movie. Because I remember the disappointment of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I was working at a nursing home in my hometown. I finished my shift and I ran to the theater. And I missed like most of the opening act, but I arrived right when they nuked the fridge. So that was... I knew what I was in for right from the go.